Today we're changing a caliper. So we're gonna loosen this banjo bolt on the back. Right there, I put vice grips on it, on the brake hose to not lose brake fluid. You don't want to pinch very hard though, you don't want to hurt the hose. So just a slight pinch to keep fluid from coming out. Then we're gonna grab the, looks like about a 14 millimeter on the back of this one. Take that off. We got our brake hose off. So we're gonna go and take the two bolts out of the back of the caliper. Most of the time those brake hose banjo bolts are 11 millimeter, sometimes 12, but this one was 14. Alright, we got our bolts out. I'm just going to go in the groove of the rotor. I don't know if you can see that, but in the rotor, and give it a little press back just to get that piston loose. Now we should be able to yank that caliper off. We got our brake caliper off. Here's the new caliper in the black. I put Silglide brake grease on the new caliper on these two ears where they contact the pad and the piston. I took the two slides out. We're going to put grease on them and then put them back in the boots and change these two pads that are almost brand new over to this caliper here. Got the pads transferred over, the slide pens greased up, a little extra grease on just the ears of the brake pad. Alright, I got the pads transferred over. Put a little bit of grease on the ears of the brake pads. The slides are greased up and put back in. I got the bracket where the caliper sits cleaned up and greased up. Now it's time to put the caliper back on. I'm gonna fit it in and put the bolts in through the back. We've got our caliper back on, bolted on. Our brake hose. Took the banjo bolt off. Make sure the two washers come off on both sides of there. They're copper squish washers, they seal it up. This was supplied with a new banjo bolt and new washers. So we're gonna put those on. One on the bolt. Put that through the brake hose and then put the washer on the other side and start screwing it on the back. Kind of easy to cross thread, so be careful. You want to tighten it enough so that these copper washers squish and seal it up. Banjo bolt is secure in the same position it came off. I got the bleeder screw loose. That one was a 10 millimeter. You're going to be 8, 10, or 11 millimeter. Very rarely 12 or 3/8. We're just going to take this off now. And we're going to let it gravity bleed a little bit. Should start seeing some droplets come out. Sometimes it helps if you take the brake fluid reservoir cap off. I have a vacuum bleeder tool, a couple other bleeder tools, but you can have a partner press the brake pedal to get that brake fluid out. I'm going to show you how to do it by yourself with a 2x4. I got a nice drip coming out of there. So go over to the driver's seat here. You can put a 2x4 on the brake pedal and use your seat adjustment to keep it tight. And then we'll come back over here Keeping that block of wood on there, and tighten our bleeder screw up. Just like that. And then we'll go back to our block of wood. Release the brake. Then we'll come back over. Loosen that bleeder back up. And then we can press down on that brake just by using the seat motor. And we'll tighten that bleeder back up again. Repeat the process a few times. Make sure you got all the air out of the line. You can use a clear hose attached to something, but there's not going to be very much air because I crimped off that line real carefully. And that's how you can bleed the brakes by yourself after doing a caliper. To make sure you got all that air out, you can get your chunk of wood back on the brakes. Well, after you think you got all the air out, tighten that bleeder up, pump the brake pedal a bunch of times till it gets stiff, and then put your chunk of wood back on so your brakes are depressed. Brake lights on. Get you a bar, a pipe, something long, so your brakes are depressed with that chunk of wood. You can make sure that your brakes are stiff, that you can't turn that wheel. This one doesn't turn, all the air is out, and we're good to go.